What up, everybody? Yesterday I made a video talking about the possibility of Rock surviving the Raising Kanan series, but going to prison on a 25 to life sentence and ultimately getting out of prison on the current Power Legacy timeline in her mid-60s, similar to the storyline of the Tulsa King series and its main character, Dwight Manfredi. And this was really my first time even thinking too much at all about the Raising Kanan series since I ended my coverage of Season 4 at the end of May of last year, as I've had 4 other shows I've covered since then and an additional 2 season recaps. But after going back and talking about how the 4th season ended on that cliffhanger of if Kanan killed Rock in the video I made yesterday, I think I came up with a scenario that I think is a good chance of how things ended up playing out after the screen went black. Because when the screen went black, we did hear a shot fired, so we know there was a shot fired by someone. Whether that was Kanan shooting Rock, shooting somebody else, or somebody shooting Kanan, we don't know. But one of the reasons why a lot of people think that Kanan did actually kill Rock is because the fact that Power is filled with parallels, and Kanan killing Rock would be another parallel to Tariq and how Tariq killed Ghost. But what if there is a parallel involved in the continuation of this scene, but it's just not Tariq killing Ghost? In Raising Kanan Season 1, Rock was preparing Kanan to take out Malcolm Howard, and she taught him 2 to the chest and 1 to the head. But when Kanan stood face to face with Malcolm Howard, he ended up shooting him. But as he stood over him, about to take the kill shot, he froze. Then he heard a voice and ended up running off without taking the kill shot, and we all know that Howard ended up surviving. What if the same type of thing happened with Kanan and Rock? Maybe Kanan does end up shooting Rock in the chest, but as he's standing over her and about to take the kill shot, he sees his mother on the ground gasping for air. And again, like with Detective Howard, Kanan could freeze, and at this point he could hear one of her security guards walking in, or maybe Jukebox or one of his uncles, and before they see him, Kanan could run out the back door. Then whoever walks in and sees Rock laying on the ground could call 911. Then they would rush Rock to the hospital as she's fighting for her life. And they don't know if she's gonna survive or not, as she loses consciousness, like Monet at the beginning of Season 4 of Ghost. I can see Rock getting shot being a parallel to that situation, with Rock spending the first episode unconscious in the hospital. Then in another parallel to when Detective Malcolm Howard got shot, when he woke up, he ultimately told his co-workers that he didn't remember who shot him to protect his son. Rock will say the same thing, that she doesn't remember who shot her. And this is when problems could arise, because this wouldn't be Rock's first time getting shot and questioned by the cops about what happened. At the end of Raising Kanan Season 2, Rock also got shot when Salbacelli had his men ambush Rock's operation, including sending 2 men to Rock's house to take her out before she was saved by Unique. And by the time she got to the hospital, her and Howard had already come up with a plan to pin the entire operation on Crown Camacho. And this is what got the feds involved in looking into what really happened that night. So because of that, the feds turned up their surveillance on Stefano Marchetti and ended up seeing both Rock and Marvin leaving his spot. And at the end of Season 3, Marvin was even a prime suspect of Agent Tanner of the FBI after he connected the dots between Marvin, Marco Baselli, and Tony Deep. But at the beginning of Season 4, after Howard and Ronnie's deaths, this was all pinned on foreign nationals, as the feds moved on because it was said they only cared about organized crime. So even though the local part of the investigation was closed after Howard's death, the feds were still doing their own investigation off screen in season 4, and we know this from Stefano having to move from his fish shop to a restaurant. Then at the conclusion of season 4, before the whole thing went down with Kanan and Rock, Stefano was stabbed by New Jersey boss Phil Russo after it was revealed that Russo plotted with Stefano against Salbacelli to take him out so Russo could become the new New Jersey boss. And the last time we heard anything about Stefano, Rock told Lou that they didn't know if he was gonna live or die. But it sounds like he's gonna live because Russo told Unique he took a swing and he missed. And we can assume if Stefano does live, he's not gonna tell the cops who stabbed him either. So again, in a similar situation to the end of season 2, Rock gets shot on the same night when Stefano had been stabbed earlier in the day. And even though these two aren't connected, the feds don't know that, and it seems pretty convenient to put 2 and 2 together that this is the second time that Rock had been shot on the same day there was stuff going on with the Italian mafia. So because of that and the fact that Rock has already been seen leaving Stefano's fish shop before, the feds will assume that the two events were connected. That either Rock getting shot was retaliatory for Stefano getting stabbed, or it was the same person behind both the attacks. This will cause the feds to start looking even closer into Rock and her operation as they ultimately end up arresting everybody on a RICO case. Because like I mentioned yesterday, we know that a big RICO case is coming down the pipeline real soon with the Italian mafia from Tony Teresi's backstory and OG Power. And I think that after Rock getting shot and Stefano getting stabbed at the end of season 4, the feds are going to make a move real soon, likely sometime in the first few episodes of season 5 before the war begins to escalate. And I think the RICO case will be one of the main storylines throughout the season as we see Rock, Stefano, the Italian mafia, and others, potentially even Unique and Marvin as well, all tied up and going in and out of court fighting this RICO case. Similar to how in Ghost seasons 1 and 2, Tariq and Tasha's trials were a main storyline in those seasons. Because another reason why a lot of people think that Rock was killed by Kanan at the end of season 4 is because of the introduction of Breeze. And how are all these characters gonna coexist in the streets at the same time? But maybe it won't even come down to that as the lane becomes wide open for Breeze to take the streets of Southside Jamaica, Queens, because all the other major players have been moved out of the way because they're all involved in an indictment. But unlike how seasons 1 and 2 of Ghost concluded with both Tasha and Tariq beating their cases, I think season 5 of Raising Kanan will conclude with Rock and everyone else who survives other than Kanan and Breeze getting convicted and going to prison. And something that I forgot to mention yesterday when I talked about Rock getting out of prison on the Legacy timeline is the credit scene of Raising Kanan, where we could see it say 30 years later on the screen and Rock getting released from prison. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.